Hello, and welcome back to the Alpha Male Podcast, the podcast where we talk about being an alpha male, what that means, how to walk that out. Roll into the bio. If you want to skip, you can generally skip to around 4 minutes, and that should get you pretty close to the body of the topic. Before we roll into that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, leave a review of the podcast if you've listened to it before. Your one-stop shop to find out more, to see pictures, to contact me, to support anything like that is goodshepherdtraining.com. All one word, goodshepherdtraining.com. With that, the bio and then the topic, guys. Who's the guy talking to you through the microphone? First and foremost, I am a Christian. I make no apologies for that. God is number one, and I want to honor that and honor Him. I grew up hunting and fishing in the backwoods of the southeastern United States. I joined the Marine Corps at 17. I did a couple of combat tours in Iraq. After my combat tours in Iraq, I was an urban warfare instructor for the United States Marine Corps, teaching urban warfare and desert warfare to Marines and other military forces. After that, I worked for LAPD as a sworn peace officer. I worked regular patrol assignments, more specialized assignments in law enforcement, was in that for a lot of years. I also served the United States Army, both full-time and part-time National Guard. I guess I should say that my primary MOSs in both were infantry. I started shooting competition even before I joined the Marine Corps at 17. In fact, by God's grace, with the talents He's given, even won a gold medal before I joined the Marine Corps at 17. I've won more competition shooting matches than I can honestly remember. State rifle and pistol champion a few times over. West Coast regional rifle champion. I've been a private contractor for a 3-letter government agency that I won't specify. I've also been blessed to be the commander of a tactical team in a large metropolitan area where our primary objective, our job, was to stop active shooters. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and fingers for battle. I've hunted all over this beautiful country, from mule deer on the west coast to whitetail on the east coast to gray squirrel on the east coast to prairie dogs on the west coast. I have been a professional hunter and guide of all kinds of game, professionally hunted things like buffalo and elk and deer and exotic species. I have slain wolf and bear and all manner of beast. And I don't apologize for it. FBI certified, NRA certified, firearms instructor, professional firearms instructor for a lot of years. But if you ask me what I am, I'd say first and foremost, I'm a servant of God, a student of the Bible, a teacher, a preacher, and a fisher of men. With that, let's get into today's topic, men. Living a life without fear. You see, many times in the Bible, I've heard it said 365 times in the Bible, one for every day of the year, and I haven't gone back and counted that one for one to verify it. But many, many times throughout the Bible, Old Testament and New Testament, it says, do not fear, do not be afraid. Oftentimes, when Jesus appears or when an angel appears, they say, do not be afraid. In fact, the only thing we're supposed to fear is God and God alone. But why then, men, do we spend much of our lives fearing such lesser things? How much time in life is lost? First of all, fearing petty things that make no difference. You spend so much time in fear or worry, the little brother of fear, on something that even if it happens, it probably isn't worth you worrying or fearing about it because the consequences aren't that great. Or how much time and life is wasted fearing or worrying about something you have no control over. If you have no control over something, what point is there to fear or worry about it? None. How many times in life Do we let fear hold us back from trying to be great, from trying to achieve something more? Or how much time in life do we spend in fear of what other people might think when it makes no difference to us in our life? What other people might say? We let that stop us from trying because we fear looking silly, looking foolish, or a failing. I know people that have spent their whole lives in a small town, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what they wanted to do, if that's what you want to do. But I know people who have spent their whole lives in towns they grew up in. If you'd asked them many times throughout their life, they would have said, oh, they can't wait to get out of there. They can't wait to get out of there. But they just keep going in circles in those towns because they're afraid of stepping out in faith, stepping out on their own. You see, there's an inverse relationship, opposite ends of the spectrum, between faith and fear. It is written, without faith, it is impossible. It is impossible to please God. Do you trust God? Do you trust that He'll take care of you, take care of all your needs? If you do, then what is there to fear except for God? Because is not God stronger than anything in creation? Did not God make the heavens and the earth, set the stars in the sky, and the borders of the sea? Is not everything under God's control? If you believe that, and if you believe that He is with you and trusts in you, what is there to fear? Joshua, the first chapter. No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and of good courage. For to this people you shall divide inheritance, the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then I will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Have I not commanded you to be strong and of good courage? Do not be afraid or be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. If the Lord your God is with you wherever you go, what is there to fear? Also, it is written in Deuteronomy, you shall not be afraid in any man's presence. It sounds simple because it is. If God says He'll take care of you and you trust Him, why are you afraid? As you heard from my background, you might have surmised I like guns, and I own quite a few. And I have friends that own a lot of guns. Don't consider myself a collector. I have friends that own really nice guns, and they keep them locked up in a safe. Not because of kids or not because of any safety issue, because they're worried they might get stolen. And I don't think they would consider themselves a collector, but they have them in this safe like some kind of false talisman that will protect them. But they keep it in there locked away where they can't get to it because they're worried about somebody taking it. What good is it in life to amass all this stuff if you're afraid all the time that you're going to lose it? Is it not taking more from you than it's giving you if you're always worried about losing it? I'm not saying you shouldn't protect your stuff. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be safe. I'm saying don't be so afraid of losing something that you're not living. Don't be so afraid to take a chance that you spend your life in mediocrity. This is not the mediocre male podcast. This is the alpha male podcast. A quote from Theodore Roosevelt. Life is a great adventure. The worst of all fears is the fear of living. I've taken chances and I've had stuff not work out. But God's never left me destitute. I've never starved to death. By the grace of God, I've never even had to collect unemployment. I've taken out ventures that didn't work. I left a very good, high-paying corporate job to go out and be a professional hunter and guide. And it didn't work out because Not going to say anything bad about the man that I work for, but I'll just say a fact that he wasn't paying me what we agreed upon, and in the end, not paying me at all. Didn't take him to court, didn't sue him or anything, just packed up my stuff and left. I didn't know how, I didn't know where, I didn't know why, but I knew that God would take care of me, take care of my wife, and you know what? He did. I've been persecuted out of jobs before for doing the right thing, where if I had done the wrong thing, which was easier, would have kept a job. You know what? So what? The one thing to fear is God. I fear God more than I need that job. I'm not afraid of losing a job. My God will take care of me, and He has. I recently got a job offer, a great job offer, after I got let go for doing the right thing and refusing to pick on somebody that I was told to fire them when they weren't doing anything wrong. And I got a really good job offer. And you know, I turned it down because they said I had to work on Sabbath. And it is written, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do your work, but the seventh is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. On it you shall do no work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor the stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. I really wanted that job, and I didn't have one. But I didn't want it so bad that I was going to disobey a commandment from God to get it. I fear God, and that's it. And that's a much better way to live. A much freer way to live than fearing all this other petty stuff. You know what? I went a week or so, couple of weeks. I trusted in God. I went hunting, I went fishing, I went foraging. I trusted in God. I prayed. Even before this, but a daily thing, read my Bible when I wake up, read it when I go to bed. Pray, trust in God. I didn't know how, I didn't know why, I didn't know when, but I knew God would take care of me. Just a couple of days ago, that same company called me back. They said it worked out a solution and they were going to hire not just me as a manager, but an assistant manager so that I could have the Sabbath day off and I could also have another day of the week off and get a lunch break off. I trusted in God. God always does more than I expect. He always does more than I can ask or think. I fear God. If my God takes care of me, what else is there to fear? What else? Because God is with me. Because God has a purpose for me. He chose me. I've made it through some nasty war zones. I've made it through some of the nastiest streets in the country, fighting crime as a police officer. I've slain some dangerous beasts, wolf and bear and bison. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. If my God is with me, what is there to fear? Not even death. If you're not a Christian, you're wrong. If that offends you, then go listen to another podcast. But I am a Christian, and my God says, no one comes to the Father except through me. I don't want to apologize for that. I speak the words that Jesus spoke. I hopefully, by God's grace, speak the truth. If Jesus' message was easy and simple and didn't offend anybody, then they wouldn't have crucified him. They wouldn't have nailed him to a cross. They did that because he offended some people. There's only one way to heaven, and his name is Jesus Christ. I don't know how you can live a life without fear, without God. There is one God and one mediator between God and man, Jesus Christ. Those are scriptural. You can look those up. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, with prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And why not fear? Why not worry? Because Jesus says not to. I don't argue with him. I trust his words to be infallible and 100% true. He says, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow nor reap nor store away in barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow. They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, how will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. From the mouth of Jesus, don't worry about tomorrow. Do not be afraid. Do not fear in any man's presence. That's an alpha male. Why? Because God says so. That should be the only reason that I need to give, but I will expound. Jesus says, who by worrying can add a single hour to his life? Well, if you look into medicine or medical things at all, and I'm not a doctor, but it's pretty uniform consensus through, medicine, psychology, that worry is bad. Worry will not add an hour to your life. It may very well shorten your life. Worry and stress. How long did it take the medical establishment to realize that stress and worry and fear is bad? And they could have just listened to Jesus and don't do it. I like that quote from Roosevelt. I'll paraphrase it. Don't fear failing, because that may make you too afraid to try. Don't worry about what other people might think or what other people might do. If you know that you're with God and you're doing the right thing, you're following the commandments. Does Jesus say, if you love me, keep my commandments? If you're doing the right thing, if you know that, don't worry about losing a job. Do you fear losing a job more than you fear God? The one thing you're supposed to fear? Does that not mean that you trust your wealth and your riches, your job or your family or whatever? You put your trust in them to take care of you more than your God? Psalm 20. Some trust in chariots, some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. And let's not forget Jesus' parable about the rich fool who stores up in barns and stores up and stores up. I don't think there's anything wrong with planning for the future. Jesus says in this world you will have troubles. I'm talking about the parable of the rich fool Jesus talks about, who stores up in bigger barns and says, now I've got all this stuff. I'm just going to take it easy. And what's the reply? God says, you fool, this night your life will be required of you. Trusted. You should probably go back and read that parable, but he talks about how much he's done, how much he's done, how much he's done. Trusting in his wealth and his riches and not in God. Remember, as the Bible said, it is God who gives power to get wealth. The only sure and steadfast thing, the rock, the only thing to build your life on that you can live without fear. Even fear from death. If you've given your life to Christ, if you know that you're walking with God, what difference does it make? What does Paul say? To live is Christ and to die is gain? What difference does it make? If God has a purpose for me, he'll keep me here. If he wants to take me tomorrow, or tonight, or a second from now, so be it. I don't need to fear. I trust God. My life is in his hands. I gave my life to him. He can take me home at any time. I am a stranger and a pilgrim on the earth. While I'm here, I hope to do good and be a good servant and walk with God. Whether I take another step or another million steps, What difference does it make? I shall not fear. If you're not familiar with Psalms 91, like I said, by God's grace, I read the Bible in the morning. One of the Psalms that I generally read every day. Psalm 91, a psalm of protection, a psalm to give you courage. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I will trust. Surely He shall deliver me from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover me with His feathers, and under His wings shall I take refuge. His truth shall be my shield and buckler. I shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at my side, 10,000 at my right hand, but it shall not come near me. Only with my eyes shall I look and see the reward of the wicked. Because I have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, my dwelling place. No evil shall befall me, nor shall any plague come near my dwelling. For you shall give your angels charge over me to keep me in all my ways. In their hands they shall bear me up, lest I dash my foot against a stone. I shall tread upon the lion and the cobra. The young lion and the serpent I shall trample under foot, because I set my love upon him. Therefore you will deliver me. You will set me on high, because I have known your name. I call upon you, and you answer me. You be with me in trouble. You deliver me and honor me. With long life you satisfy me and show me your salvation. No, I'm not perfect and you're not perfect. Only one man has ever been perfect, Jesus Christ. Only one man has ever completely subdued fear. It should be a goal in your life as an alpha male, as a follower of God, because He says so. So many times in the Bible, do not be afraid. Like an alpha male. Pray, trust in God, beat that fear into submission. Fearful thoughts may fly over from the evil one from time to time, but don't let them nest there. Have dominion. You're made in the image of God. Rule over them, subdue them. Be an alpha male and live a life free from fear. I can't help but brag on how good God is to me and how much He takes care of me and provides for me. But here's the thing. God loves you as much as He loves me. His love is infinite. He loves 100% all the time. His love is perfect. While I was yet without strength, in due time, Christ died for the ungodly. He loves you as much as He loves me. You can also, by God's grace, by His calling, break the yoke of fear. So many men are living their life in fear when so many, especially in the last year and a half or so, when so many people are afraid. Stand up, be an alpha, walk with God, and refuse to be beaten to fear and submission. Be an alpha male. Thanks, and have a blessed day. I think that's a good place to conclude that, guys. Men, I appreciate you listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, leave a review of the podcast. If you like this podcast, I know there was a lot of, scriptural quotes in here. And again, I don't apologize for that. If you care about the important stuff, there's a whole nother podcast, Simple Man Sermons, the preachings of a simple man called by God to share the good news of Jesus Christ. There's even an episode in there. If you like this one, you may like that one. Go look it up. It's called The Real Pandemic, Fear. If you like guns and gun stuff and tactical stuff, check out Gunfighter Life. If you want to check out more, go to goodshepherdtraining.com if you'd like to support, because these are free to listen to, and that's great, but they're not free to produce. If you want to listen for free, listen for free. Don't feel guilty about it. My God supplies all my needs. If you'd like to support and support the tribe that you're now a part of, again, goodshepherdtraining.com. Scroll down. There'll be a link on there for Patreon. And a sincere thanks to all the people that do support the podcast. Whether that's on Patreon or whether that's just giving me a review of the podcast, liking, subscribing, or even just sharing it with a friend, saying, hey, I like this, you might like this too. Blessings are meant to be shared. With that, guys, I'm going to say thanks for listening. And as a thanks for staying tuned till the end, I'll give a little tactical tip. Seems like I've been doing a lot of wilderness and hunting and shooting tips. One, because I like it, and two, because it's kind of that time of year for recording this podcast. Been doing a lot of hunting and fishing. But how about a workout tip? And if you're a hardcore worker outer, may not be a tip for you, but for a lot of people, if you're just doing, the 3 sets of 10, the classic quintessential, you could try this. Try doing your normal set of whatever amount of weight. Let's say you're doing curls with 70 pounds. Do as many as you can do with 70 pounds. Push yourself to failure. Once you get to failure, drop, 20 pounds off. Drop 50% of the weight off and do as many as you can again. So do a set. Let's say your max. Let's say you're really struggling. You're supposed to get 10, but you only get 9. Drop some weight off and then do as many as you can again. Who knows how many you'll get, but do both sets to failure. See if that doesn't give you a better workout. Easy to do this on a machine. If you're at a gym, if you have a machine with just a rack of weights with a pin, you can put it on, let's say the same thing, 70. Do as many as you can and drop it to 50. If you like those, maybe the next week you do it and then drop it again, drop it a third time. A variation of this that I like to do is doing a set of super heavy weight. Let's say like 4 is the max that I can do. It's super heavy weight. I'll do 4 or do it to failure. Maybe I only get 3, maybe I get 5, but I do it to failure on high weight, low reps, and then I'll drop a bunch of the weight off. And I'll do it, talking like right after, just drop the weight and pick it back up with a lighter weight and do maybe 10, 15, 20. Give that a shot and see if you like it. All right, with that, guys, thanks and have a blessed day.